At 71, John Travolta is not stepping away with flashing lights or grand announcements. There is no farewell tour, no dramatic final scene designed for applause. Instead, his retreat feels gentle, almost reflective, like a man setting something down after carrying it for far too long. Fame shaped his life early, loudly, and relentlessly. Yet this moment arrives without spectacle. Travolta has always understood that life rarely gives clean endings. You simply do your best and keep moving forward. After decades of cultural dominance, reinvention, disappearance, and return, this closing chapter feels different. It carries the weight of experience rather than ambition. When someone who has survived Hollywood's highest peaks and harshest falls begins to step back, it is rarely about age alone. It is about memory, loss, endurance, and knowing when the noise no longer serves you. For Travolta, this moment feels like acceptance rather than retreat, growing up. Where performance was everyday life, before white suits and disco floors, John Joseph Travolta was the youngest voice in a crowded New Jersey household. Born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey, he grew up as the sixth child in a working-class family. His father, Salvatore Travolta, balanced life as a tire salesman with a past in semi-professional football, while his mother, Helen Cecilia Travolta, brought art into the home as an actress, singer, and high school drama teacher. That detail mattered. Performance was not mysterious or distant in their household. It was practical, disciplined, and respected. Rehearsals happened at home. Dialogue and movement were everyday conversations. While many performers discover the stage later, Travolta absorbed it early. His mother did not chase fame, but she understood craft, and she passed that understanding down naturally. The arts were not an escape for him. They were simply part of life. Dance as confidence and language. From an early age, movement became John Travolta's most natural form of expression. Dance offered him confidence when words felt insufficient. He trained seriously in jazz, tap, and later disco choreography, long before those styles dominated popular culture. While other kids played outside, he practiced posture, rhythm, and control. Dance was not about showing off. It was about discipline and presence. That physical confidence would later define his screen persona. He learned how to command attention quietly, without force or exaggeration. His body became an instrument of storytelling. This training shaped his future more than people realized. Long before casting directors praised his effortless cool, he had already spent years refining it. What audiences later read as natural charisma was built on repetition, focus, and study. Dance gave him a sense of ownership over space and timing, tools that would serve him equally well on stage and on camera. Choosing the risk early. By his mid-teens, it was clear that John Travolta was not interested in a conventional path. School mattered less than the next audition. Encouraged by his family, he pursued acting seriously, appearing in local theatre productions and commercials, while most teenagers were still experimenting with identity. At 16, he made a defining decision. He left Dwight Morrow High School and moved to New York City to pursue acting full-time. It was a calculated risk, not a reckless one. New York in the early 1970s was demanding and unforgiving, but it was also alive with opportunity. He immersed himself in auditions, dance studios, and acting classes. He worked touring productions and off-Broadway shows, slowly building a resume based on discipline rather than luck. This period shaped his resilience. There were no headlines or guarantees, only persistence, rejection, and gradual progress towards something undefined but deeply desired. Learning cool before playing it. One of Travolta's earliest breakthroughs came on stage in the touring production of Grease. Long before he became Danny Zuko on screen, he was already living inside the rhythm and attitude of that world. The role sharpened his instincts and confirmed what casting directors would later recognize instantly. He was not performing cool, he understood it. Unlike many young actors who relied on charm alone, Travolta trained relentlessly. He studied movement, timing, silence, and framing. He learned how to listen on stage and how to hold attention without demanding it. These were learned skills, not accidents. By the time he transitioned into television work, he was already prepared. In commercials and early television roles, casting directors noticed his ease. He appeared confident without arrogance, relaxed without laziness. That authenticity became his signature. He was willing to work without recognition, trusting that preparation would eventually meet opportunity. Television opens the door. By the mid-1970s, John Travolta had done the hard work that often goes unseen. All he needed now was visibility. Television provided that opening. In 1975, he was cast as Vinnie Barbarino on the ABC sitcom Welcome Back, Kotter. On paper, it was a modest role, but something clicked immediately. Vinnie felt real. The accent, posture, and humour looked lived in rather than exaggerated. Audiences responded instantly. The show became a hit, and Travolta emerged as its breakout star. He was suddenly a weekly presence in American living rooms. Yet television fame carried risks. Sitcom actors were often boxed in, viewed as limited or disposable by Hollywood. Many never crossed over successfully. Travolta understood this danger. Rather than settling, he continued training and auditioning for film roles that would challenge perceptions. He was positioning himself quietly for something bigger. Breaking free from the sitcom trap. Hollywood noticed something television could not fully contain. Travolta moved like a film actor. He understood framing and restraint. In 1976, while Welcome Back, Kotter was still airing, he appeared in the film Carrie. The role was small but significant, proving he could move beyond comedy into darker material. Then came the turning point. In 1977, he starred in Saturday Night Fever. The film did more than launch a career. It defined an era. His Tony Manero was restless, flawed, and vulnerable beneath confidence. The performance was physical yet deeply emotional. Audiences responded worldwide. At just 24, Travolta became one of the biggest stars on the planet and earned an Academy Award nomination. The transition from television to film was complete. He had not abandoned his past image, he had transformed it. Hollywood now saw a leading man capable of carrying culture itself. Fame arrives all at once. By the late 1970s, John Travolta was unavoidable. His face, walk, and voice became shorthand for a cultural moment. Saturday Night Fever captured ambition, frustration, and escape through movement, and Travolta stood at its centre. He trained relentlessly, but audiences connected most with his vulnerability. Soon after, Grease followed in 1978, offering a polished contrast. Danny Zuko was charming, confident, and magnetic. The film became the highest-grossing movie musical of its time. Travolta had achieved something rare, defining two cultural identities simultaneously. Dance became mainstream, expressive, and aspirational. Yet fame arrived too fast. Expectations grew impossible. Hollywood offered no space to fail or evolve quietly. The industry demands icons remain iconic. As disco culture faded, backlash followed, and his image became an easy target. The man who ruled the dance floor soon learned how quickly attention can shift. The sudden fall and long silence. The early 1980s marked a difficult transition. Films like Moment by Moment, Two of a Kind, and Perfect failed to connect. Each disappointment reinforced a harsh industry narrative. Travolta was labelled outdated and overexposed. Hollywood moved on quickly, offering little patience. Masculinity on screen shifted toward action-driven stoicism, leaving little room for expressive performers. Yet Travolta did not disappear. He continued working, accepting smaller roles and waiting. This period is often summarized as failure, but it was also survival. Fame had taught him intensity, obscurity taught him endurance. Away from constant spotlight, he recalibrated expectations. He no longer chased dominance. He focused on craft and persistence. Hollywood absence can be dangerous, but it also creates space. Without knowing it, Travolta was preparing for one of the most unexpected comebacks in modern film history. The reinvention no one expected. In the early 1990s, one filmmaker looked past reputation and saw presence. Quentin Tarantino cast Travolta as Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction. It was a risk, but a deliberate one. When the film premiered in 1994, the effect was immediate. Travolta's performance was casual, flawed, and deeply human. He abandoned vanity and embraced imperfection. Audiences rediscovered him. Critics praised his restraint. He earned another Academy Award nomination nearly 2 decades after his first. The comeback rewrote his narrative. He followed with Get Shorty, Face Slash Off, and Primary Colors, showcasing range and confidence without desperation. This return felt earned rather than forced. Later, personal loss reshaped his priorities, leading to a quieter life centered on family and reflection. There was no announcement of retirement, only a gradual stepping back. What remains is a legacy allowed to stand on its own.